This Daniel Bryan situation continues to get more terrifying and more terrifying in a lot of different ways, as now Daniel Bryan has admitted to post-concussive seizures. I'm going to tell you why that's even more scary than you would think, and how the WWE's Greed actually may have saved Daniel Bryan's life. All that and more right here, right now on Dead on Dave Productions. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Dead on Dave. Now, look, everybody by now has, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're not, then I don't even know why you're here, but everybody by now has seen the WWE Daniel Bryan relationship and all that stuff and his retirement and all of that. You've seen it. You've cried from it probably. It's been an emotional journey that has really just started to gather steam, and I don't think we've seen the end of it. Daniel Bryan doing the right thing for him and his family, but it may have been a little bit too late. You see, Daniel Bryan has admitted now on Jonathan Coachman's Off the Top Rope on ESPN that he has been experiencing post-concussive seizures that he only got the solution to when he went to New York and got a new type of EEG. Now, EEG, I believe, yeah. Which shows that he has a lesion in the part of his brain that controls seizures. Now, this to me, and he also admits that he has hid these seizures. Now, this to me shows me a much deeper problem, not only with Daniel Bryan, but the entire concussion situation. Because all the technology in the world, all the greater research into concussions is never going to solve the one problem that truly does exist and will continue to exist, because sports are a passion-based entity for the performers, at least, and that is athletes hiding their actual problems. Daniel Bryan could have put the kibosh on this a long time ago. He said he had 5 concussions in the first 6 months of wrestling, or something crazy, 3 concussions in the first 5 months, whatever that is. I mean, Jesus. The concussions that he's had, the type of problems that he has had, it's a little bit greater than your average concussion sports issue. Now, it's particularly scary because while that amount of concussions might be a little abnormal and a little bit higher than you'll see on a regular basis of even the most reckless of athletes, the attitude is very par for the course. When you're passionate about something, almost nothing is going to get you to stop what you're doing. And I can understand that. You know, I was an athlete. May not look it now, but once upon a time, I actually was an athlete. I was a soldier. I was a soldier who got hurt in Iraq and then went back when I probably shouldn't have. And it's cost me basically my youth. I got hurt at 25 years old because of a little bit of a stubbornness and some bad leadership on the inside. But that's another story for another time. I'm crippled for the rest of my life. I have severe nerve damage, and it's irreversible. So Daniel Bryan, at 34 years old, is completely done because he has hid some of the issues. I mean, look, I can't speak for Daniel Bryan, but what I can say is, me personally, if I had a seizure after I had my bell rung, that would be something I would be reporting. But I think Daniel Bryan is not a dummy. He knows what that would have meant. After the first time it happened, it would have ended his career more than likely. He would have been done. And that's why he didn't say anything. And that lies the biggest problem with the entire concussion situation. You're not going to be able to stop athletes from hiding their symptoms, from going back into games, from continuing to perform. You're just not. Yes, the technology will continue to get better, but unless there are serious symptoms, and I would say a seizure is a serious symptom, it's not going to get caught in time. We have no idea how much damage is done to Daniel Bryan's brain, and we're not going to know until really he dies, because that's when all the CTE stuff really does come out. It's when the brain is examined after death. And that's if his brain is actually allowed to be studied. It's very weird. The brain is so delicate and so complicated that you can't possibly know all the ins and outs of the situation. So it's scary because there's no stopping it, because you're not going to be able to get these guys to realize, especially the ones who are as passionate as Daniel Bryan is, that there's a stopping point that's okay. And he woke up. Hopefully it was at the right time. But all of that being said, it was only found because of something that everybody says is a problem. That is WWE Greed. Yes. Back in December, the reports are coming out now that Daniel Bryan, and I don't have sources or anything, I just read dirt sheets and shit, and it's being reported by enough places that Daniel Bryan actually asked for his release and was denied said release. And he continued to fight, try to find more and more doctors to clear him. He goes up to New York, and these are his own words that he let out on Jonathan Coachman's Off the Top Rope on ESPN. He went up there to gather more evidence, more ammo, so he can fight this and get back in the ring. And this new EEG is the one that really let him know how bad the problems are. He wouldn't have gotten that test done if WWE wouldn't have told him, no, we're not going to release you. You do not have the right to give your notice. This is the contract you signed. We're going to continue to pay you your huge downside. There was a lot of money involved that the WWE would rather pay him than let him go. Now, some people say that's WWE greed. They don't want to let Daniel Bryan go because they know if he goes somewhere else, if he goes to TNA, if he goes to Ring of Honor, if he goes to New Japan, if he goes to Lucha, they're screwed. First off, I don't think that statement's true because it wasn't true with Kurt Angle, and it certainly wouldn't be true with Daniel Bryan. Even though Daniel Bryan certainly has his following, I don't know if that would be enough to turn the sides. If Kurt Angle, who I think it's fair to say is a little bit bigger of a star than Daniel Bryan, no knock to Daniel Bryan, one of the all-time greats, but Kurt Angle a little bit, if he couldn't turn the tide for an organization, I don't think anybody could, with the exception of maybe CM Punk, but I think that ship has sailed because he's getting closer to 40 and all that good stuff. Plus, he's an MMA fighter now. So there's all those complications. I just don't think that there's another guy. So you have that issue, which I think people tend to forget. The other part of it is maybe it's not 100% the reason that they wouldn't let him go. Maybe they knew, they trusted their doctor, this Maroon guy, they trusted his evaluation, Daniel Bryan, and by all accounts, and what we saw on Raw after Raw, the big celebration of Daniel Bryan's life, everybody coming out to the ramp, Vince McMahon yesing, everybody showing love and support. Maybe they actually love this guy. Maybe they actually care about Daniel Bryan's health and well-being. And that's part of the reason why they simply wouldn't just let him go. I mean, people don't give the WWE credit in that regards. Yes, there are a lot of issues in the wrestling industry that go just beyond the WWE. Should there be an off season? Do they work these guys too hard? Is it too much like circus-like performances? Yes, all of these things can be talked about and true, but that's just the industry business model that I don't think will ever really change, mainly because if you stop the way that these wrestlers are used to performing, the way that they are accustomed to, they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to the basements. They're going to go to the gas stations. They're going to go to the gymnasiums. This is what they do. It's up. People do not seem to get that to be a professional wrestler, it is a passion-based industry. You're not getting into the WWE or wrestling for money. I mean, that's not what your big driving factor is. I'd say 95% of the time it's because you are motivated and passionate about what you do. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And because of that, it limits the options of how much you can change the industry. That's just, it's just a sad truth of it. Unless all the organizations, all the wrestling promoters on the planet decided to come together and say no, and that would of course take unionization and all kinds of Teamster shit, all kinds of crazy things, which will never happen. mainly because there is so much greed in the wrestling industry because everyone's going to get their slice of the pie and you're going to try to make as much money as you can. Promoters and wrestlers are two different things. Promoters are driven by money, bottom line, and all that stuff, and maybe not as much passion. I mean, they're circus guys. I mean, they're Barnum and Bailey. They're trying to get your money. That's why you're called marks. People, if you're watching this, you're probably a mark. That's okay. You're driving the business. You're driving the industry. I'm a mark. I'm okay with it. Fuck it. I don't care. They've taken many, many, many dollars off of me, and they'll take many, many dollars more because I love wrestling. I'm passionate about it. So I can understand a lot of the reasons why wrestlers and promoters and all these things do the reasons that they do. You know, all that being said, what this lines up to is I think there was something more with this situation with Daniel Bryan on both sides than maybe ever before. The WWE and their perceived greed and evil intentions, which I'm sure partially had to do with their decision. I mean, come on, I'm not naive here. It may have saved Daniel Bryan's life. Their willingness to pay him his gigantic downside salary on his contract may have been the thing that really saved Daniel Bryan's life. And I think it's something that people need to think about. Because had they not been willing to do that, who knows the lengths Daniel Bryan would have went to get back into the ring. And if he would have went somewhere that don't care about the performer's health as much as WWE has tried to, because as the industry leader, that's what you need to do. You need to try to protect your workforce, because without a workforce, there is no industry. So there are other organizations out there that don't care as much. It's just about spots and gimmicks and blood and chair shots, and those still exist. And if Daniel Bryan would have got involved in one of those, we might be having a different conversation in 6 months, where Brie Bella is crying at Daniel Bryan's funeral. We don't know. And that's what makes it so scary, because there is so much passion, there is so much money, there is so many different mitigating circumstances that we just don't know. So before you damn the WWE for some of their decisions, before you think badly upon or give too much high praise upon Daniel Bryan and other athletes, think about the entire situation first, about how much easier it would be if these athletes, who would later go on to sue all the different organizations that they're a part of, if they would take a little bit more personal responsibility and realizing their own physical limitations, there would be a hell of a lot less problems and more money, safer working conditions, just so many different things. So there you go. Just my little 2 cents on the entire situation, because this is a scary, scary situation and way more terrifying than you may have ever thought. This could be the first ball that really gets the end of contact sports really going. Daniel Bryan could be the poster child for the end of contact sports in some perverse way, because at 34 years old, he showed that willingness that virtually no other athlete has really before him, not with concussions, walking away before it got too big of a problem, admitting that he had seizures linked to concussions. He becomes something different. He becomes something that we haven't seen before. So it's going to be interesting to see how things progress from this point on. There you have it. Thanks a lot for joining me right here on Dead on Dave Productions. This is Dead on Dave Live, even though it's recorded. Try to figure that shit out. Hopefully you guys like what you see. Like, subscribe, and share. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share to all your friends. Make sure you check out all the things that are going on within the channel. Yes, you can get Dead on Dave merchandise at www.deadondave.spreadshirt.com. Look at it right there, right there. Let's see. Bip, 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 bip. You could also donate to the channel if you're so inclined to do so. But check out everything that's going on within the community. Tommy C over at Shot from the Point. He's on hiatus while he is helping his wife and their newborn son. So, but you can check out all the backlog of videos that he has there. You can also check out Jack Malay, Grand Slam 87, Jeff Huffman. I mean, all kinds of people within the community. They're all in my featured content. Make sure you check that out. But support this channel. Support it. You know, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. Thank you guys very much for joining me right here on Dead on Dave Productions. As always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. We'll see you next time. NXT Live tonight. Peace.